Yo, as we do every Sunday at 6 to 8, we'd like to welcome you to Northwest Austin Council. All right. We got a treat for y'all tonight. We got ACT in the building, Austin coming together. So we got the executive director, Darnell Shields. We have Edwina Hamilton, who works with Build as well as Austin coming together. And we'll talk about restorative justice. We'll talk about the Austin Forward Together plan. Is that what Forward Together? Austin Forward Together plan, that is a plan that's been in the making for the last 5 years or so, which is a huge undertaking and endeavor here in the Austin community, and we just excited for that. Some more claps. So, as usual, you can tune in various ways. We got the Facebook, we have the YouTube, we have the Zoom, and so whatever is most comfortable with you, you tune in the way that you feel comfortable with, right? If you're on the Facebook or the YouTube, if you put a comment in, we can see the comment. We can put it on the screen. We can read it live. And this is always a conversation for the people. So this is Westside People Talking Westside Things. If you got anything you want to say, anything you want to share, please do it because we got ACT in the building, y'all. That's what I'm talking about. So, Executive Director Darnell Shields, man, talk a little bit about Well, first of all, introduce yourself. Let's do that.
That's right. Good evening. It is a pleasure to be here with the Community Conversations for the Northwest Austin Council. I'm Darnell Shields, Executive Director of Austin Coming Together, lifelong Austin resident, and it's cool to be in the studio in my hood.
In the backyard.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's dope. All right, so let's give us a little bit more. So, how did you get started with ACT? Like, how'd you come about? Like, what high school did you go to? Like, how Austin are you? How Austin are you?
Oh, man,
You know what I'm saying?
y'all want the
Yeah, give us a little bit. Yeah, give us a little bit.
You want the dirty. Steve knows a lot of this stuff, but this is familiar territory for me around the corner from you guys' studio. I actually grew up right around the corner from here on Monitor and Division. And I actually went to Young Ella Flag Young, and then they bust me up out of there because it was overcrowded and sent me to Scammon up north. And then I transferred and went to St. Angela, so I had to go to the Catholic school to be in my own community to go to school here.
Oh
wow! But when I went to high school, I ended up going to near North Metropolitan, 91 Huskies, where y'all at. Getting into community development, I had a very interesting path to how I came to ACT. But for the most part, I started out as a barber in the community. So people that know me, I cut hair off through these parts, and was a professional barber for almost 20 years in the community. And I still own a hair salon with my wife in Austin on North Avenue. Hair Tech, shout out. 68 West North Avenue.
Absolutely. That's the right way.
Oh, yeah. And but somehow I ended up going into community development because I started volunteering with a business that's actually next door to you guys, the Austin Child Care Providers Network.
Miss Ruth Kimball.
Ruth Kimball and my mother, they were really good friends. And when Ruth Kimball really started up her child care business and started up the Northwest Austin Council, the Austin Child Care Providers Network, she needed some support with, business development, things like that. And I ended up volunteering with her. And at that time, ACT was getting started. And she thought it would be a really great idea if I got involved. So this is a way for you to become more simply engaged in your own neighborhood. And so I ended up volunteering over at ACT. And that was 10 years ago. And here we are today.
Nice. Oh, so we got a comment already. Ethan Ramsey. What a good group of folks. Thank you, Ethan. Thanks for tuning in, brother.
What's up, Ethan?
All right, so we got a little bit of your background. So, Miss Edwina, let's get a little bit of your background. So, how did you get started? I know you do restorative justice work. Take us through a little bit of that as well.
Let's see. Well, I'm a South Sider, so don't hold that against me. But I have.
Look my boo join that, man.
I have come to love the West Side. I have been working on the West Side almost 5 years now. Initially, I began working on the West Side with Catholic Charities. And I worked with them for about 2 years, and then I went over to Bill to continue the work of restorative justice. So my background is in psychology, and
Okay.
also I'm a minister. So I have a degree in seminary studies. And
Okay.
so it was like the two meshed together helps for a very cultivated restorative justice practitioner. And through the work at Catholic Charities, I was able to cultivate relationships with those in community like Darnell and
Hmm.
ACT, like Westside Health Authority, like many other community partners who are intricate to the work that I do in Austin.
Nice. So, what about the restorative justice piece? So, how did you? Obviously, you just spoke a little bit, and so for the people that don't know, what is exactly restorative justice, and then how did you move into that part of the arena?
Okay, I think I'll start first with how I started working with the plan.
Hmm.
So the plan itself, I've been working with Darnell and ACT almost since the inception for about 4 years. And we know that the violence that is plaguing our city and state is rooted in systemic strongholds. So these systems did not spring up overnight. It took time. They're rooted in inequities that have existed for centuries, and the quality of life plan, or Austin Forward Together, helps to address several areas that are undergirded by systemic nature. And so one specifically is public safety. And
Hmm.
public safety has several tasks underneath it, one of which is public safety.
Hmm.
And our main goal is to increase restorative justice practices in Austin. So
Okay.
now, what is restorative justice?
Hmm.
So restorative justice is a philosophy. It's a way of life. It's how you engage with each other on a day-to-day basis, how you respond to each other, how you want to be treated. It means it helps to cultivate conversations and relationships as it gets at the root or the core of issues that are going on in community. It was first witnessed in indigenous practices or Native American practices. And from there, it became a practice. First, it was looked at to address harm, both on both sides, whether you receive the harm or you cause the harm. How do
Hmm.
you heal both sides of that? It then kind of moved into the schools, because schools were looking at how do we stop all these suspensions and expulsions of young people when we're not really getting at the root issue that's causing the problem. And
Okay.
it's really tied into being trauma informed. So instead of what's wrong with this kid, it's about what happened to this child. And
Hmm.
so restorative justice has a lot of different elements underneath the umbrella of it, one of which is circles. Everybody kind of knows about circles, peace circles,
Hmm.
talking circles, celebration circles. But there are a lot of more things that come under the banner of restorative justice, like resource mapping, peer juries, um, community panels, world cafes, and it's all about coming together collectively to address issues in community while you're building relationships.
Nice. Okay. So I see this as a way where obviously it's a almost like a, I want to say like a harm reduction model, essentially, where people in the community are allowed to have to have conversation with each other to express what had the wrong and how can you right that wrong, right,
Yeah.
between one another, so that we can figure out how we can keep other people out of our business and come together as a community there.
Yeah, along with the harm, though, it's
Mhm.
all about cultivating those relationships, whether harm is present or not.
Okay.
Remember, back in the day, it was a village. It was a
Hmm.
village where everybody knew each other. If I didn't have, I could knock on my neighbor's door and ask, could I borrow something? And
Facts.
so, restorative justice is a way of bringing the village back in terms of connecting with each other, no matter what age, no matter what color, no matter what block you live on, whether you live on the south side or whether you live on the west side, you can
Mhm.
come together collectively to help address the issues. Yeah.
All right, beautiful.
I like how you snuck that.
Right, 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 right. Come on, man.
Ah, that was good.
So before I start asking more questions, I wanted to move over to the Zoom because this is a conversation amongst the community. So if anybody on the Zoom has a question they want to pose to either Darnell or Edwina at this moment, please go ahead and do so.
And unmute yourself.
Yeah, you would have to unmute yourself to say something.
Or anybody on the phones.
Hi. Well, I'm here.
We hear you, Miss Williams. That's Cora Williams, y'all.
Hey, Miss Cora Williams, how are you?
1200
Good. I can't complain.
representing.
I came in. I'm just a little bit late, so I'm going to pass on saying anything right now.
Okay.
Okay, no worries. Let's just keep tuning into the conversation. You got anything, Steve?
No, I'm happy everybody here today. We're gonna switch this up on a different momentum. My wife told me we gotta stop talking about all the bad things.
Yeah. Listen, for sure.
There's some good people here doing good things right here in this good community.
All right, so I have a banner full of questions, and the banner will pop up shortly. So I'm gonna kick the questions off with: how did the Austin Ford Together Quality of Life Plan get started?
Oh wow. The quality of life plan, it got started, as Edwina said, she was working with us 4 years ago, but it actually started up in 2016. And back in 2016, and even before then, we started in 2010. A lot of our work was really around coordinating, just helping all of the different change makers and leaders coordinate their efforts so that, the things that they were doing, which were awesome, across the community, could really start to expand because, Austin is such a large community. And so even when you're doing great work, it can amount to really being something small in scale in terms of what it is that you're able to do. And so we really look to have a collective impact model where we can help bring everybody together, sort of knit the quilt, if you will, and really spread all of that goodness across the community through partnerships. And so through that, we saw an opportunity, along with the community, to strengthen that collaboration even more, where we could really bring the community together with all of the organizations that are working to help, address the issues in the community with the residents of the community, and really look for a way to synthesize their voice to make sure that what residents that live here in the community want to see come to pass, that everybody understands that and puts at the forefront of whatever strategies that they're doing, whatever resources that they have that they want to invest, any way that they're thinking about partnering, that it is always to the letter of what the community wanted to put forth. And so when the opportunity came for Austin to have a quality of life plan, which is a model that was really fashioned by an organization called LIST, the Local Initiative Support Corporation. They are a national organization, and LIST Chicago actually started quality life planning almost 20 years ago. And when they did the first quality of life plans, Austin was not in that particular cohort. And so when the opportunity came around again, we jumped at the chance to be able to act as a steward for the community to be a part of that. And so, in 2016, we were selected through LIST to take this on. And what was interesting about our process was we wanted to make sure that it was really resident-led, resident-focused. And so we actually formed a steering committee, working with community members. We did, I want to say, almost 150 one-to-ones with different community residents, leaders. And through that, we even all went through organizer training with some of our friends on the South Side, the Southwest Organizing Project. They've been through this before, so we want to reinvent the wheel. And through that, we centered on 30 different leaders that were really committed to seeing this process through. And so with that, they all came together as a steering committee to act as a steward over this plan. And they helped to leverage all of their relationships to engage the broader community. So through this small group of 30, we were able to engage over 500 across the community going into 2017. And that's how we were able to start to really understand from the community what are the issues, right? And that group, that table, centered in on 7 issue areas that were what the community felt like, and they had consensus around that they felt like these are the things, the impediments that are really preventing us from being successful and being our best selves in our community, right? And from that, we were able to agree on strategies that they could actually take. And what that involved was what are some of the things that are already happening in the community that we need to continue to do? What are some of the things that maybe could need to be scaled up, right? They're not happening, or there's not enough investment in that. Or are there some gaps? Are there things that just do not exist in our community that we know would be beneficial here? And so through that, they all decided around, okay, what actions can we take as a community? And so this is how the Quality of Life Plan really came to fruition. It was through that really grassroots organizing, bringing everybody together to draw consensus around what these issues are, what strategies do we have to take advantage of, and what actions could everybody take. And the plan was actually finalized. It was a 24-month process with all of that engagement with community residents, different players going in and out. But in 2019, at the end of 2018, the plan was actually published. And we refer to it as a massive body of work because it actually synthesizes the voices of over 500 community members, where they had consensus around all of these different things. And it really acts as a blueprint, a guide in terms of how do you partner with this community where you know what it is that you're doing is actually going to achieve what the community wants. And how do we guide investment? Like, what are the things the community laid out in their plan? These are the things we need investment in. These are the things that we actually, we don't need more people incarcerated, more people locked up. We actually need youth centers. We actually need more resources for block clubs. We need more resources for gardens and all of these things. And so it was just a very unique opportunity to hear from the community, to confirm the things that, sometimes you hear talked about, wondering whether or not is that something that the community wants. The Quality of Life Plan actually confirms it. It verifies that that is what the community wants, that is what the community needs, and they're telling you this is where you should put those resources.
So I got a question, but I want to go to the Zoom to make sure that anybody that want to get into this conversation they can jump in. So Zoom, does anybody have a question for Darnell in response to the Quality of Life Plan, how it was put together, how we moving forward together in Austin?
Anybody?
We're not muted on there. No, we're not muted.
They are muted.
No, they muted. Yeah.
Anybody? Can you hear? Can you hear us?
It's on there. Oh, it's all good then. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask my question. So you said we got about 500 community members. Now this is a community of 78,000. That's a lot of people. And so I want to know what's the ongoing efforts like to get some of those voices that are unheard to be a part of this plan. And that's difficult because we do work in some of the harder to reach places, and we find it difficult, and everybody does, to reach the hardest to reach, right? So what's the plan for that to continue to get more voices involved?
Well, the way that the plan started, it initialized with that amount of people, but it's an iterative process. We look at this document as a living document. So it's not something where you see what was published, that's, over the course of 5 years, that's going to be the end all. This document continues to evolve because more people get involved as we continue to go through the process. One of the things that we had committed ourselves to doing after the launch of the plan, when we actually went into implementation on January of 2019, we committed to the community to report out on what the task forces that are basically for each issue area that are comprised of various community members, organizational leaders, investors that are all a part of really kind of driving those actions forward. those tables are open for community members to get involved. Anyone that wants to actually play a deeper role.
Or tell them how. Tell them how.
They can actually go to our website.
Okay.
You can sign up there. Sign up to be on our listserv. You can also get our contact information for our planning and investment team, and they can connect you with the chairs or co-chairs for those particular issue areas. And it really depends on what a community member has a passion for. Everybody might not necessarily, economic development might not be their thing, right? Maybe it's public safety, or maybe it's community narrative or youth empowerment. But whatever it is, there's room at the table. You can get involved. And the other thing that we would do is we try to report out every year through a community summit where we would literally host a gathering where folks will come out again every year. And I think top numbers that we've had at those gatherings was somewhere in the ballpark of 300, where people would come out to really hear from the task force leaders on the things that they've progressed on the community's behalf. And again, that open invitation to, if you like what you're hearing, if you think this is moving in the right direction, or if you even think that there's some things missing that you can contribute, get involved.
Okay.
And so that's what we've been doing now with the pandemic that happened in 2020. We weren't able to report out or do that convening like we normally would. And so that's where we really had this idea that was prompted to do this video.
Okay.
The documentary.
Absolutely.
And that
which we have the
really
documentary. We're going to play that today. So y'all going to get a chance to view that documentary if you hadn't, not to cut your wisdom off. We got the congressman just walked in. So Congressman, obviously, you know Darnell Shields.
Yes, indeed.
And we also have Miss Edwina Hamilton from Build, and she also works with ACT with the restorative justice work, and so.
Could I add on to what Darnell just said?
Absolutely, please.
So when we have our monthly partners meetings around public safety, we're always looking to see whose voice is missing from the table. So one of the key areas that we are targeted in on now is youth. We want to get youth at the table so we can hear their voices and get their input about what are their thoughts around public safety. And also we have another entity we're working on, which is a Peace and Justice Center. So we want youth to give input. What do you think resources are needed under that Peace and Justice Center?
So you know what? Well, one, I want to make sure that I mention the fact that Austin Coming Together has a place where you can read or download the Austin Forward Together Quality of Life Plan. And you can find that at austincomingtogether.org/QLP. That is where you can find more information about the Quality of Life Plan, as well as get involved and contact members of the team. As Darnell said, they're looking for more community voices. So if your voice is not at the table, then it's only because it's a will to or want to. You're not willing or you don't want to, period. All right, now, since we just talked about the Austin Justice and Peace Center, I'm going to go right there for my next question. What is the Austin Justice and Peace Center?
I love the way you segue. That's wonderful. So Build Inc. is located at 5100 West Harrison, right across the street from Michelle Clark High School. And Build has been in existence for over 50 years. We've been doing wonderful work with youth programming, from enrichment to prevention to education to clinical services, community engagement, and restorative justice. So about a little over 2 years ago, we started planning for a community court. Now, community court is different than a regular judicial system. These are cases that have been selected. It's usually emerging adults, non-violent offenses. So instead of going into the regular judicial system, those cases come back into community. And what you look at is the whole need of the youth. So let's say they caught a case because they're hungry, and they're hungry because they can't work, and they can't work because they didn't get a GED, or they didn't finish high school, and they didn't finish high school because they got anger issues. And so first thing is to do wraparound services to address the immediate need for that young person. That young person then sits in circle with community to hear, this is how you made me feel when you did whatever the crime was on my block. And from there, the young person helps cultivate with their mentor a repair of harm agreement, basically saying, I understand what I did was wrong. I see the effects it has on my community, and I promise not to engage in that behavior again. That's kind of verbatim. So we started planning a community court for Austin over 2 years ago, and we completed our proposal last year in the midst of COVID, and we submitted it to Judge Evans. So we've been waiting for approval from Judge Evans, and in the midst of waiting, we said, why do we need to lose momentum? We've had all these wonderful stakeholders, both residents and community partners, who have come to the table for over 2 years to help plan this community court. While we're waiting, what can we do with this dedication that has been at the table? And thus was born the Peace and Justice Center. So the Peace and Justice Center, and I'll give you our objective: working towards social justice and systemic change that addresses the quality of life for community residents. Our general focus will include promoting restorative justice practices, advocacy, self-help, education, direct services, and activism. So that's what we're in the process of doing now, planning what the Peace and Justice Center looks like, which will eventually, we hope, has a community court.
Okay.
So if you drive past Bill right now, it's a construction zone, because we broke ground September 1st for a new building. It will be a 3-story building attached to the old building. It will enhance all the wonderful services that we've already been doing for youth, along with the community engagement and the restorative justice. But within that building, the Peace and Justice Center will be housed. The building will have a state-of-the-art gym. So not only the staff will be getting fit and trim, the community will be getting fit and trim too.
Okay.
And we also have a...
Wait, at a cost or no cost?
No, it's no cost. There's no cost. It will be free.
Free man.
There will be some stipulations now. There will be some stipulations, but also there will be a cafe that will offer healthier food choices. And get this, there will be a washer and dryer for young people to come and wash their clothes, which can be a hindrance sometimes.
You know what? You wouldn't believe how many individuals don't understand like those simple basic life skills. How to wash their clothes, how to clean their home. You be surprised.
Yeah, so all of that will be housed.
Awesome. Like that.
Not only within the building, but the Peace and Justice Center will be another resource within community that will help promote the restorative justice practices. It'll help educate the community on what it looks like and how it's utilized. And then eventually we hope to have a community court.
Absolutely. So I just want to say this for everybody that's watching. I'm going to launch the ACT Austin Ford Together quality of life video, right? That just shows the progress of ACT's movement, Austin's movement, at about 6:52, because I believe it's an 18-minute video. So I wanted it to go out for about 7:10. That way we have about 20 or so more minutes with Edwina and Darnell. So to continue moving forward, first I want to bring the congressman in. Congressman, have you heard about I'm sure you have. Number one, I don't even know why I'm actually have you heard about it, but what's your thoughts about the quality of life plan for Austin?
Well, I think all of it is good. I think that as people come together, and as I often say, my father used to always tell us that there's nothing new under the sun. And it just simply means that people in a community come together and they do things that will enhance the quality of life for themselves. It's not the first time it's been done. It's not the only time it's done. It's done in many places all over the world. And it's what you would expect people to do. So I can't say that I'm anything other than excited about the fact that it goes on in the community where I have chosen to live. But I can recall when we basically developed something similar in Lawndale. When I used to live there, we used to have the West Side Association for Community Action, which was basically the same model that Austin Coming Together had in terms of people coming together on a regular basis, providing sustenance to themselves and determining what their community needs to do. So it delights me that I live in Austin. That's where I have ultimately chosen to live. And hey, it's great.
Absolutely. Any questions, Steve?
Oh man, we kind of reached the whole spectrum here. I want to see the video. I want to see. I want to get into it.
We a few minutes away from the video. I mean, I could bump that timeline up. We'll do it in 5 minutes at 42. That way we could come back at 7. So I do want to bring in individuals from the Zoom. Anybody from the Zoom want to enter the conversation? I see y'all listening intently.
Barry, can you hear us? Ms. Jacobs?
I sure can.
Sure. Go for it. Any comments, any concerns, any issues, any likes?
I'm going to take another moment or two to process what everyone is saying.
Okay. How about yourself, Ms. Jacobs? Are you there? Can you hear?
While they're winding up, Steve.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're muted.
Oh.
Yeah, no worries. Go ahead, Congressman.
The only thing I was going to say, and a lot of people don't know, do you know that CRA started in Austin?
I don't. What is CRA?
It came from Austin.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
Community Reinvestment.
Oh, the Community Reinvestment Act. Okay.
Where billions of dollars have been poured into disadvantaged communities to try and sustain, help them, and keep them moving. OBA, Organization for a Better Austin, was a forerunner for many things that have gone on, not just in Austin. Gail Carter took it to Washington, D.C.
Sure did.
That's Austin. Came from Austin. I'm saying Gail Carter was the leader of OBA and then just took what she learned here and groups went with. Actually, Joe Gardner worked for her in Washington. Mary lives next door to me. So it came from Austin. The fact that banks had to put money back into communities where they were located.
Absolutely. I know this very much so because in the early days of Northwest Austin Council, they used to do what's known as testing. When people would go out and try to see what they would sell to a black couple or a white couple or a mixed couple.
Red
line testing. That's exactly what it was. I've seen the photos that they had back in the early 70s. So that being said,
I can add something now.
Go ahead, Barry.
I think the congressman said it real well. To have people coming together in Austin is a wonderful thing, and congratulations to Darnell for leading that effort. And I'm really interested in what Edwina was describing with the Peace Center. And on this show, we have ongoing conversations about issues. And we do the same thing in time exchanges, coalition meetings. And somehow, and what we're trying to do is to mobilize grassroots efforts. And the Austin Coming Together, I understand, is an investment plan, an investment of an ongoing conversations about that impacts the planet. And also, I'd love to find a way that the work of the Time Exchanges Coalition could sync with Ed Wiener's work in the Justice Center. Seems to me that we're after very similar things. And there sure is a need for peace in the face of all the violence.
Absolutely. Well said, Barry. So I want to make sure that, so we right up at 6:42. I wanted to go ahead and launch the video because it's 18 minutes so that we can come right back at 7 o'clock and have another robust 30 minutes or so. I have alone Darnell and Edwina is going to be with us so we can continue the conversation because I got a bunch of questions that actually come directly from the video. So I'm going to go ahead and start the video up. I'm probably about to take all of us out of the video frame so that the video itself can launch. But we'll see. I'll play around with it to see how I like it best. Anyway, so I'm going to start the video now.
Hello, friends. Thank you for tuning in to get a first look at the new documentary about the Austin community. I'm Darnell Shields, Executive Director of Austin Coming Together, and as a lifelong Austin resident and local business owner, I love my community, but it is often misunderstood. People outside the area may think our community is just full of crime and violence, and I can admit we have our challenges like any other community. But we also have an overwhelming amount of beauty in our culture, architecture, history, and respect for our neighbors. We want and deserve to see our community have the same opportunities as other parts of Chicago. So it is both my pleasure and privilege to introduce the short film you're about to watch. It's an update on the community's progress towards improving the quality of life here in Austin. And it shows how we are undeniably stronger together than on our own. To date, an impressive 40% of the Austin Forward Together Quality of Life Plan's actions have been initiated by dozens of community leaders and organizations. And there is still much left to be done. I want to give special thanks to the Digifade production team and our featured guests and speakers. And of course, to all of you. Although the pandemic won't allow us to be together in the same room, we are excited to bring this right to you. Whether you're watching on your phone, computer, TV screen, or even the big screen, if the stories you're about to hear move you, think about how you can support. We'd love for you to join us in this effort. Simply sharing this video or telling a friend can help, because it will take us all working side by side to continue moving Austin forward together. Enjoy.
That sound like surround sounds. Yeah.
Welcome back, you guys, to another episode of Austin Has the Mic.
If someone were to come to Austin, how would you describe our neighborhood?
I know when I'm home, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that let you know that we're in Austin.
I'm from Austin. I grew up in Austin. In the daytime, we go out and play all day. In the evening, everybody's at their porches and on the front, and we run races barefoot and play tag, catch lightning bugs.
The Austin neighborhood is on the west side of Chicago. It's the biggest community that is in the Chicagoland area.
I came to this neighborhood in the 80s. I came here to work as a Chicago police officer. I did not grow up in this neighborhood, but I watched this neighborhood transform from a place of middle-class Blacks to watching crack cocaine take over.
Austin has been in a period of slow to zero to, in some areas, even negative economic growth for a period of 10 to 15 years. You have young parents who are raising their children and naturally want them to do better. Unfortunately, we were sold a false narrative that doing better meant leaving our community.
It's obvious that we don't have much here, right? So we're in a very disinvested area. We don't have development. We don't have grocery stores. We don't have places to eat, restaurants, sit down restaurants. We don't have a lot of those things here. So it was becoming very obvious that something needed to happen.
When I first got to the Austin area, it was very stagnant. There were a lot of service providers and residents were trying to be active, but we didn't have a way for everyone to work together.
The resources that's available is not always abundant. And if there's only pennies out there and we need some of those pennies, then we're going to try our best to get as many of those pennies as possible.
Austin coming together as an organization began as a group of very dedicated and committed leaders who saw there was so much change that needed to occur, and it had to be community led.
We are Anchor. We are a family. We are a network of organizations that are dedicated to helping grow Austin for everyone who lives, works, and loves Austin.
Having a convening organization that really works to help to bring all these different organizations and residents together for a certain topic, we need that. We need those organizations in our communities. Austin coming together in the work that they do really saw an opportunity to create this plan.
The quality of life plan is helping to come up with a comprehensive way to provide residents living in Austin the quality of life that they deserve.
The initial meetings that we had around the quality of life plan and, really kind of leveraging this opportunity, it actually started out with just a small collection of people, leaders that we had been engaging. It wasn't that we were trying to reinvent the wheel. We wanted to take stock and take advantage of the things that were already happening. There are 7 issue areas, and those issue areas each have task forces. The issue areas are housing, public safety, education, economic development, youth empowerment, community narrative, and civic engagement. It didn't come down to one organization. It came down to how do we bring this 50 organizations together, and how do we all speak with one voice.
That grew into the quality of life plan, where it took us from talking to imagining and now to doing.
And we want other communities to look back at what Austin is doing and say, I want to be a part of that. What are they doing over there? They got it going on.
When I was a kid, my mother, she would give us some money to go to the grocery store. I had 6 grocery stores that I could walk to. By the time I got to high school, there was one.
Studies have been done of the city of Chicago and other communities where the rate of death is higher in communities without access to healthy food.
There's so many stores like this that are really beneficial to the community. They are closing down the only resources that we actually have, and the community members have no say in it whatsoever.
People are dying at a higher rate and at younger ages in Austin. And so many health issues can be traced to the food we eat and the lifestyles that we live.
This area has been totally transformed to create a park in the middle of Chicago. We got chard. We got Swiss chard. Oh, I love Swiss chard. How do we give our community a facelift? The way South Austin Neighborhood Association began to address that was by creating gardens. This is good. I could eat this.
The Austin Eats initiatives, which was birthed out of the fallout from COVID. COVID illuminated so many disparities in a community, and food access was one. So all of these different groups came together to say, hey, we're going to team up and create a partnership amongst each other to be able to provide access to food.
It's important that we're getting food in that can be provided to people, but what type of food, how does it get produced, and how does it get distributed is important as well.
Come on, guys, let's bow in a word of prayer because we're gonna have to get our traffic control set up.
So today is our weekly food pantry. 400 families every week. This allows us to help those that are in need.
Yeah, put it on top. Okay.
Another box.
Faith-based community organizations, those are our anchors. They've just been phenomenal in being a consistent presence, whether it be through ministry or, again, food access.
We're going to touch somebody that really needs something today. And you can't tell by how you see them, only God knows.
Most people think that Austin is just full of like violence and it's gang everywhere, gang members, and they not really seeing like the events that's going on.
The Public Safety Task Force is something I became involved with almost 4 years ago. Our specific task is to increase restorative justice activities in Austin.
I think one of the tenets of restorative justice is that hurt people hurt people. And so with restorative justice, and why is it so important to build and for the Austin community, that it helps us first to see each other and love each other and understand each other as a starting point, and then go from there to resolve our differences. So it starts with neighbors being neighbors to each other.
I think one of the things that was able to be created through the Quality of Life Plan was around this education theme.
We got a grant from an organization for this equipment for the kids. There's no bottles here, no needles, and none of that stuff. So the kids can come out here and be worry-free because we're closed in, you know. And the community respects us. They never throw stuff over the fence because they know the kids are here. But yeah, this is Wonderland out here.
We have some good quality child care center that is in this neighborhood. We have our organization called ACPN, which try to bring all the child cares under one umbrella. And through that organization, we try to make sure that all the daycare providers, that you're educated, that you're able to go to college, making sure that you got equipment that you need that's appropriate for the age.
We get a lot of things we donate, but we pass it along to those other programs and they pass it along to us. And Austin Forward has helped us because of our relationship with various other programs.
Michelle Clark High School received the designation of the first international baccalaureate program. So their high school students just in and of itself have more access to opportunities in preparing them for career readiness, whatever path they choose.
We have had a lot of people ask us about what is Austin Has the Mic. A lot of people coming to us about what we doing here, what we represent, and what are we doing for Austin.
Austin Has the Mic is a youth-led media group with the intention of giving the mic back to Austin, giving the chance to the community to sort of bridge the gap between the negativity of social media and the actual day-to-day happenings.
I think it's amazing to have our youth really kind of tell the story of where they live and speak about it from their perspective.
We're going out and doing our best to let people have their story be told.
I'm hoping that with Austin Has the Mic, that it gives people like not only tangible hope, but it is an actual like call to action to be like, you don't need to wait on anyone. If you are trying to better yourself, you're bettering your community.
Many of the economic drivers that have been missing in the past 10 to 15 years in the community of Austin now have the opportunity to return. Retail shopping, food shopping, entertainment, all of these are things that this community desires and can support.
Pop Courts is an outdoor event space that I and a group of folks are working on. There's this vacant lot and I wanted to activate it by putting some food trucks and vendors and things like that.
One of the upcoming projects that I'm most excited about is a project called the Aspire Center for Workforce Innovation. There's a elementary school called Emmett that was closed during the school closings. In the community, I think it has continued to do lasting damage psychologically to the residents because it represents the desolation. This is a project that is going to reimagine that intersection to something that goes from being depressing to something that is inspiring.
The future of where I see Austin going is very exciting. There's so many projects in the works that are being brewed.
In the next 5 to 10 years, I really, really see this community being developed. And I see it happening with like the challenges, right? And I think that the challenges just let us know where we need to go.
It's more than just a food pantry. We're feeding their human flesh, but we are also feeding their spirit.
You shouldn't be afraid to talk to your neighbor. You shouldn't be afraid to go make friends.
I want people to look at Austin as people who live every single day.
We're still trying to make sure people just know we're working on their behalf. When we say this is the community's plan, we literally want to be guardians, stewards, and advocates for those actions to take place.
Once you were in the door, the people that were there at that table and the work that we were committed to doing, that's what kept you there.
The Austin neighborhood is filled with so much culture. It's filled with beautiful people. We have a lot of dreams and goals that deserve the opportunity to come to fruition.
Man, all you can do after that is clap, man. Austin making some big things happen. You feel me? I love where I'm from. I'm from Austin. I grew up here, you know? So I anytime our community is praised in a positive light, we got to continue to do positive things to uplift it. So one more time, man. One more time, man. Love Austin. It's a great job. That's a great job that all you all are putting into the community. You know, all the efforts, right? And for those that want to be involved in something like this, please see this. Please look right here. Take a screenshot of it. Go right to the site right now, austincomintogether.org/QLP, so that you can talk with team members from the Austin Coming Together team, right? So you can get involved with the quality of life plan, so we can continue to have some amazing things happening in the community. So before I start asking more questions, man, any thoughts? Anybody in the room? Y'all want to say something?
I can say this much. I think you guys covered quite a bit. I saw my old grammar school. I saw DeAndre's old homestead.
Yeah, the family.
People. I mean,
Uncle Isaiah's home.
Pretty good video.
Thank you. You know, the interesting thing, the video originally was going to be, we're trying to do a 10-minute shot.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, Austin, it's just so expansive in terms of the areas that you got to cover, the voices, the people, and the issues. It extended. I mean, we were fighting to keep it under 20 minutes because you literally could do a whole film, short film, probably an hour long, talking about this community and the great things that happens here and the people. And, you know, the things that are still yet to be addressed. And then there's so much history.
That's what
absolutely. A lot of history.
Congressman shared with us, as well as all the things that you shared too, Steve and DeAndre. It's just so many things. When you grow up here, you can relate to so much. So it's just hard to get it all into one film.
And when you say history, I go back to the beginning of Austin. You know, I don't know if anybody remember this. There used to be, and it's still, the building is still there. It used to be the music school on Central in the 700 block. No, not 700, 600 block of Central. And the building, the home is still there. I think they're trying to make it a historical house. But I know as a young man, as a kid, people would go there to learn piano. And I think they were still teaching classes up until the 90s. And this had gone back for over 100 years. It was known as a music studio, music school.
Wow.
I would just like to add, from the video, you see that change does not happen in silos or in isolation. It happens out in community. So don't be afraid to come back out into community, because open arms are there and others willing to work alongside you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So one of the things that I want, the first question I have actually starts with how the video started, and it actually goes into something that you spoke about earlier, Edwin, with the youth. I really love doing work with the youth. I haven't had a chance to do so because of the pandemic, but they truly have my heart, right? And so when I see them doing amazing things like Austin Has the Mic, I'm like, wow, that's impressive. And so that's where I want to start at. I want to start with the youth. So the video started off with the youth doing a talk show / a podcast. So what is Austin Has the Mic all about? Either Darnell and Wynn, either one. Feel free to tell us about it.
I'll start, and I know you can chime in. But the interesting thing, to the point that Edwina made earlier, there had been, more emphasis desired by the leaders sitting at the public safety table, youth empowerment tables, about having more youth voice and more youth involved in driving a lot of the efforts in terms of community change that they wanted to see. And so where we had this intersection of that desire and this opportunity to innovate in terms of how we engage community, that's really how we ended up connecting with Austin Has the Mic youth and layering it into this opportunity to produce this video that was really going to be a mentoring opportunity for them and an opportunity for them to really guide how all the progress was depicted. And so Austin Has the Mic is a youth-led media group that is really providing a platform for our young people to talk about their community and the things that they want to see change and the things that they're actually doing to see that come about. And it's also a space for them to continuously build relationships across the community with other youth so that they can all activate more young people to get involved. And I think earlier we were having a conversation about just how unique of a time it is right now where you're seeing more of an intergenerational activation of stakeholders in our community that are getting involved, right? We have our congressman, who's our elder statesman as well, but then you have young people as young as in their early teens that are also getting involved. And so here it is, this range that we have. And, again, they wanted to see more investment in opportunities for our young people. We had an opportunity to leverage some resources that we were receiving actually through the plan being awarded for one of the planning agencies that awarded the plan for all the great work that the community did. And with that, it was a grant.
Nice.
And so we actually saw fit to leverage that grant to actually let's reinvest in the plan. Let's reinvest in an opportunity to further drive more opportunities for youth and just be creative about how we use that. And so that's really what it was about. And Dwayne, I know you can share some other thoughts about how the youth leverage the opportunity, how they got involved, and then some of the things that they're looking to do even beyond.
It's all about partnerships. It's all about partnerships. So it's Build, partnering with ACT, partnering with Westside Health Authority. So I had heard about Austin Has the Mic, and I have been hearing little whispers, in the wind. But when I came over to video my piece for the video, I actually was able to meet some of the youth from the Austin Has the Mic, and I was blown away. I was blown away by their tenacity and their engagement and their passion. And from there, I was able to make connections with some of them, and I was able to invite them. So last May, because Memorial Day weekend seems to be one of the most violent in the city, it seems like every other weekend is the most violent these days. But with a focus on Memorial Day weekend in particular, we started the first annual Restorative Justice Summit in partnership with the 15th District Police. And so we invited Austin Has the Mic to the first summit. And they went around interviewing individuals and talking. They even came to some of the circles and participated in the circles. And from there, some of those young people will be playing a part in the Peace and Justice Center. Remember, I said bringing the voices of the youth to the table of the planning. So they are a part of what's going on, and they feel that they're not left out. And that reminds me, we were doing circles last summer for summer camp, and one of the youth ambassadors doing circles, he did a check-in. You always do a check-in before you do a check-out at the end. But during the check-in, she asked this young person, "How are you?" And the young person was blown away because they said, "Nobody ever asked me how I'm doing." And that's the power of restorative justice, and that's the power of the youth voice taking flight and making a difference in community.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
And I was just thinking of the glory days when Boy Scouts were so prevalent. For 13 years, I served as the chairman of the Austin District Boy Scouts. And there were times when we could put together 1,000 boys. At one, we had a scoutmaster fellow named Henry Springs, who was the best in the whole country. We used to call him the little winemaker. And marching down the streets with 400 and 500 boys. Henry would be leading them all. One year we had something called Tent City, where we had 500 boys in tents out in Columbus Park.
That's decent.
500. We had big scout troops at the Christ Tabernacle Church, at the church that's now the Catholic Church on Race, right there across from at the time it was Resurrection. It was a Methodist church. Reverend Wells had a big troop. We had a big troop at Prince of Peace. We had a big troop at on Lake Street. Reverend Stowers had a big troop right there at Mars Hill. St. Paul, we had a troop. I'm saying direct interaction. People working directly with the kids. We had a big explorers post with the 15th district. Many of the guys who ultimately became policemen came out of the explorers stuff. So
can't be what you can't see.
Wait for the virus to get
go on subside.
So that you can see the direct interaction with the kids, with young people, talking with them and about them and all. That's one thing, but for them to be engaged in something that they like doing, that they are enjoying, it does enhance the quality of their being.
Absolutely. Quality of life is always subjective to the person that's living their life. And these young people have their own lives to live, their own problems, their own circumstances, and giving them that voice, man, is just so fulfilling for them. And I know how it is, again, as a person who's taught high school students, middle-aged students, and just like kicked it with them. Yeah. So I love hearing things like this with this Austin Has the Mic. That's a beautiful thing. Absolutely. One of the things that the video talked about was this work is a collaboration of about 50 plus organizations. So how do you get 50 plus organizations to work and collaborate with one another?
It sounds simple, but it is actually it is actually very difficult. But the interesting thing that I think we arrived at, and that I've learned in doing this work and being a part of this awesome opportunity with Austin coming together, and just this desire in our community to work more collectively together to drive stronger, greater impact. Right? It's not something that's only Austin coming together. It's a spirit within this community that we want to see change at a greater scale. And the thing that I notice is that there's all these organizations, all these leaders, all of these individuals, they all have interests. They all have interest in what it is that they want to see, what it is that they want to have happen for themselves and for the people around them. And so when you really just center in on what people's interests, what the interests are, and take the time to actually create a platform where people can hear from each other, where they can understand what that interest is across from them and be able to share their own. Now you can actually start to think about and appreciate where it intersects. And it's through those intersections that's where the real power lies. That's the glue. That's how you start to knit this fabric of the quilt to bring everybody together, because you're not going to get someone off their interests. DeAndre, you got your interests. I can talk to them till the cows come home. I can talk to them blue in the face to try to change you off of that, and you're going to look at me like that. You look.
Man, I don't care about none of that, man.
But if I can share my interests with you, recognize and acknowledge what yours is, and then we both have that epiphany when we arrive at, wait a minute, say that again. What you are interested in, that part of what you're interested in actually aligns with me. And see, if we just take a moment and acknowledge that, all of a sudden, we have a basis to start building a relationship. We have a basis to start create some common ground. And that's how you bring people together. That's how you bring organizations together. That's really been our process to really just acknowledge where everyone is and what they want to see happen and create that platform where others can share as well and then support them. Once people make those ties, once they connect, once these organizations reach for each other, continue to facilitate that relationship building to manage that relationship and keep driving efforts forward together. And that's one of the things that the plan really helps provide for all of these collaborations, all of these partnerships. It provides a platform, a constant, consistent platform where once those ties are made, folks can continue to work together, continue to drive on efforts and add more pieces to the puzzle, bring more folks on, right? And again, it's all based on, what is important to you. Because at the end of the day, if you're not intrinsically motivated to do it, right? What's going to keep you at the table? I think somebody asked me, like, hey, how do you get all these folks? These people are doing stuff and they're not paid to do this. They're volunteering their time to do this in addition to what they already do. Because intrinsically they're motivated. They have it's based on their interests. This is important to them. It's based on values.
Absolutely.
Right? And so where those values align and where everybody sees that intersection, that's where the work happens. And it can happen together.
Goes back to a few of our shows ago. We talked about values.
Yeah. Values is the basis of life, right? I was talking to Barry just yesterday about the process to which I'm taking my daughter through. She's 19 months old, and so we got a long way to go. But the first step in helping to build that child and building her self-esteem, her self-worth, her self-value is teaching her what her core values will be, what they need to be, what they should be. Then we're going to build on that because that's where the foundation lies. So one of the things that you mentioned is a question that I wanted to ask specifically to Edwina, because you may be an individual that is taking on additional responsibilities, right? So your intrinsic motivation may be as such that it is a calling for you to be involved in this work. And so my question is, why do you and other leaders choose to take on this additional responsibility?
Like being on a video on a Sunday evening, right?
Yes.
It's all about the passion. It's all grounded in passion. And many of us come to Austin Forward Together with passion for community and for the youth. So we see this epidemic that's raging around us, and every weekend we hear the numbers. Every day we feel the effects of how another child has been struck down by violence. Bill's motto last year and this year is Chicago can't wait. Our children can't wait. So I heard some words last year that really struck a chord with me. And what the person was saying was, this is the year that will change the world. And what they meant by that is that each person has a part to play. So you might be the person to go get the water. You might be the person knock on the door. You might be the person work with the kids. You might be a person that work with the seniors. But each person has a role to play. And what we see is that no one person or no one set of answers is going to have a major effect. It has to be both and. So it's Bill working with ACT and working with Taproots and KL Morton Enterprises and Nehemiah Trinity Rising. It's all of us working together and so many more that makes a difference. And if our passion is truly connected to community, it doesn't shut off at 5 o'clock. It doesn't end on Friday. It continues over the weekend sometimes, and it continues until we continue to make a difference. If it's one child at a time, one family at a time, one block at a time, and collectively we can help make the change.
Absolutely. I know that. I tell her I'm 34 years old. All this gray came because of community-based work. I ain't had this before I really started getting involved. You
Yeah.
know, this is a burden for real, and that's, I mean, this community, right? Because that's what it is. Like, there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of work to be done, and sometimes, like you said, that work ain't 9 to 5 all the time. You know what I mean? So even sitting and having conversations that are draining, you know what I mean, is something that's a part of this type of work, and we do that often. You know what I mean? So I do want to. We had our Zoom. It was a little technical difficulty, so you all may not have heard most of what Edwina spoke about, but she did speak about passion as a driving factor of this work and contributing to it well past working hours. And so, for those that are listening that probably caught the end, I just want to see if you had any questions or anything that you wanted to pose to Edwina or Darnell right now.
When is this meeting, the community coming to the table? When is that? Hello?
What was the question?
What's the question?
So Ms. Jacobs is asking when. I got you, Ms. Jacobs. So basically what she's asking is, when are the conversations take place when the community can come to the table? And before I allow Darnell or Edwina to speak up, if you go to austincomingtogether.org/QLP, you will be able to see the progress of the plan, but then you'll also get a chance to see where you can contact with their team members so that you can start those conversations and get involved like that. We did speak on that a little earlier, but I don't know if there's any other ways y'all want to talk about that they can get in.
Yeah. Well, I would like to say community is always welcome to the table. The quality of life plan, public safety, we meet monthly. We always meet on the third Wednesday of every month from 9 to 10:30. We have a meeting coming up this Wednesday. We have faithfully met even through COVID, even through, sheltering in place. Now that we got this virtual platform, I wish I had invested in Zoom and Google Meet before all this stuff jumped off. I'd be a millionaire right now, but I still be doing the work. But also with the planning for the Peace and Justice Center, we meet every third Tuesday from 1 to 2:30. Anybody who would like to come to the table, you're more than welcome to come on board. So we got a meeting coming up this week on the 19th and on the 20th.
I can't hear.
Oh, shoot. All right, so this is what we'll be able to do. I'll make sure that I get those dates and times, and I'll be able to send them out to anybody that wants them. Because I do recognize there might be a little bit of disconnect.
Can you add those events to the Peacebrook calendar so we'll have the details?
Sure, I'll get them and I'll give them to you.
Yeah, and I'll just add, and I don't know if you can hear me, but I'll just add, if anyone is interested in becoming a part or contributing to any of those tables, those task forces are meeting regularly. Each of them, there's 7 of them. Each of them meet regularly, but again, it's an open invitation for anyone to be a part of that. And again, I would say sign up on our website so that you can be connected to the chairs and the leaders of those task forces. So that way, based on your interests, you can be at the most appropriate table where you want to contribute. Because again, you may not necessarily have an interest across all 7 of the issue areas. Maybe you feel like your value is really in 1 or 2 of them. And so we really want to be able to hear from you specifically on what area are you most passionate about? What area do you want to make your contribution so that way your time is spent in a way that you feel is worthwhile, and everybody that's at the table recognizes that is where your passion lies.
So I do want to say, if you want to, so there's 2 emails that I want to give you right now that you can use to reach out to members of Austin Coming Together so that you can find exactly when those Austin Forward Together meetings occur. And that is J Moore So that's JMOORE at austincomingtogether.org. Or you can reach out to Ethan Ramsey at eramsey, ERAMSAY at austincomingtogether.org. And Edwina Hamilton is available at Edwina, EDWINA Hamilton, HAMILTON at buildchicago.org. And they all can help you figure out what dates and times you should be available so that you can join the quality of life plan and help Austin move forward together. Now, Barry, you had a question you wanted to ask.
Yes, I wanted to ask Darnell and Edwina whether you can list your upcoming dates on the Peacebrook calendar, which is a public Google calendar. By listing it, everyone who has connected with the calendar has the event show up in their own personal Google calendar.
So Barry has what's called the Peacebrook calendar, and several individuals and organizations are a part of this calendar that is like a, it's like a, how do you want to call it, like a
Commonly linked.
yeah, like a linked, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So it's a linked Google calendar that allows individuals that's connected to this Peacebrook calendar to see all of the events that's taking place throughout Chicago or Austin, I should say. And I'll give you an example because I'm linked to it on my calendar, so you can see what it means. But basically, he's asking, would you or Edwina like to put your events on the Peacebrook calendar for all of those individuals that's connected to be able to see?
So yes, Barry, we definitely would love to leverage that calendar to be able to put those events on there when we're having them. So if you can instruct, I believe you are connected to our marketing and development manager, Alicia. And I believe you've also been connected with Ethan Ramsey, our community organizer as well. So if you can make sure that they have that information where we could be able to leverage that calendar, we can get right on top of that if they aren't doing it already.
Great. So that the two people you were breaking up, who are the
like the
two people?
So Ethan Ramsey, he's our community organizer, and
yes.
Javon Moore is our planning and investment manager. And I believe you also may be connected to Alicia Pullman, who's our marketing and development manager as well.
Great.
So the purple is yeah. All right. So you know what? We coming right up against 7:30. One of the things I want to do at 7:30 is bring in an organization that's actually working with Austin Coming Together with a sustainability with environmental environmental things that they have going on. But before I do that, I want to ask one last question before we bring them in, because they actually are going to be a piece of a question that I had as well. One of the things I want to know is about, I saw Austin Eats in the video. What is Austin Eats?
So Austin Eats is actually a collective impact initiative that was spawned and started in response to one, the longer term issues that Austin community face in terms of food insecurity, but mainly in a response to how it was exacerbated through COVID. The Austin Eats initiative really allowed us to coordinate all of the different organizations that come to the work of food access in different ways. So you have culinary and entrepreneurship, grocery access, food education, even marketing and promotions of where can you get access to healthy food and all of those things, and emergency food access. So here's all these different areas that you need greater access for food. They're organizations that are working to try to bring the community what they need in the ways that they need it. And so Austin Eats really created a platform where these organizations could recognize the different areas and components, and then start working more diligently together to coordinate their efforts to do something much larger, to make a greater impact on the food insecurities in Austin. You've heard Austin be referred to as a food desert, right? And some people even would say it's a food swamp. But that's a real thing. And so even in the video, it was talked about there's no grocery stores, right?
Mhm.
We had a grocery store closed down at Save-A-Lot on North Avenue. Again, maybe not the highest quality of grocery store, but again, it was a grocery store that served parts of North Austin. And so this effort is really around bringing more attention, more focus to the need for investment around those areas, and mobilizing the very little resources that we do have to be able to meet the need on a larger scale in the community, in the absence of all of the resources that are available for folks, so that people can gain access to healthy food. They can get access to the things that they need, because for the most part, if you don't have a car, you can't get to Oak Park to be able to go to the grocery store. So you're at the gas station.
Or the farmer's market.
And all those things, right, to get healthy produce and so forth. So this is a huge coordinated effort to be able to promote where all these things are in the community, at whatever scale they are, and how do we work together to heighten it and bring the things here that we need in the community.
That's beautiful. That's what's up. I know Steve works with the Austin Eats Collaborative and working to try to bring some more sustainability efforts to the community. And overall, like even our mission here at NAC is just all about sustainability and how we can leverage ourselves in multiple ways to figure out what sustainable practices need to be implemented and scaled, here in Austin. And so one of the things that I wanted to do in response to the sustainability thing is I wanted to bring in Terry Redmond, if you're over there on the Zoom, because we have Arnold Bearden and Group N from SAC or Santa? From Santa,
South
who's
Austin neighborhoods.
from the South Austin Neighborhood Association, who's actually partners with ACT, and they are actually working with a litter campaign. So as we continue talking about sustainability, we want to talk about the environment as well. So Terry Redmond, are you available?
Terry, are you there?
Yeah, right there. So I wanted to say, while we're trying to get Terry on, I wanted to talk about some of the other parts of the plan. And I know workforce development, I saw the Aspire Center that you want to bring where Emmett currently stands, which is going to be super dope for the community. We need workforce development, and we need people to be able to be trained up so they can get these jobs, especially the technical jobs. And so I'm excited for that. But it's not about me. What other efforts that are part of the plan that you're excited about?
Well, I'm definitely excited about the Aspire Center for Workforce Innovation. Like some of the other large-scale projects in the community, this project is going to be something that really helps to bring more leverage facility to drive a lot of those actions forward that the plan identified in economic development, workforce development, in addition to education and others, where just a program alone is not going to allow us to be able to achieve the goal or reach the objective. And so it really is about the community reimagining our physical spaces, and how we can leverage the land, the buildings. Where can some of these things be housed that currently there's no space for, right? There's no large-scale career training program in the community, but yet there are so many people that desire to gain access to the career training. And so you need a facility that can actually house that, where you do have programs that are in the community that are providing access to it, but it's not to the scale that we need it. And so very excited to see more investment starting to happen through the different vehicles that can invest in these programs in our community to heighten that access. So people aren't having to leave the community to be able to gain access to those things. They can actually do it right here in their backyard. Some of the other things that are exciting that's happening, and I'm actually got to do 2 plugs. One is next week, Thursday, actually this week coming up on the 20th, this on the 21st, I'm sorry, on Thursday at the K. Ryan Center for the Arts, Austin Eats, the whole Austin Eats Collaborative, they're actually doing a free movie event. And this information is on our website as well. If you go to the plan around Austin East, you'll be able to pull all of that information up. But it is again, from 5:30 to 8:30, and it's free to the community to be a part of it and take part in it and enjoy it. But it's going to create a platform to share more about gardening and ways to access healthy eating, healthy food. The movie is called Can You Dig This? Can You Dig This? And it's going to be very exciting. They're promoting it now. And again, this is that platform that Austin Eats provides, where they are really leveraging marketing, promotions, really creating more of a forum for people to get educated about how do they get access to the things that are healthier for them in terms of food, where can they get access to it, and ways to make it fun, make it interactive and interesting so that it isn't something that, you steer away from. The last thing is on the 20th, this Wednesday, we're actually every quarter we release a publication that we do in partnership with the Austin Weekly News, and this is another way that we report out to the community about the progress of the plan, right? Nice. And so this particular quarter that's coming up, our release is going to have a focus on 2 large-scale projects that are in development as we speak on both ends of the community, one in South Austin, one in North Austin, one being led by Bill that Adwina spoke about, where the Peace and Justice Center will be housed. So there's a huge write-up in this publication that is going to share more insight about that overall project for the reimagining of the Bill campus that will include all of that access for youth and community in terms of recreation and programming. And also the project that is in North Austin, that'll be the Sport and Youth Recreation Center that's being led by the Hand Club, GMA Construction, and other partners that are a part of that. Again, all aligned with the Quality of Life Plan. Really, it's amazing how these leaders have really focused and listened to the community and sought to really position their projects to bring those objectives to achievement that the community wanted. And again, leveraging that platform to steer investment in a way that is desired in the community so that we don't have to wait any longer for these things that we've been advocating for years and years and years.
Nice.
All right.
So I want to go back to the Zoom. I want to try to get Terry Redmond back on. Are you there, Terry?
Terry, are you there?
Yep.
All right.
All right, then. There we go. All right, so as you know, we have ACT in the building. We got Edwina, and we have Darnell Shields. And so you are a group of leaders. Arnold is here as well in building. And so you guys from Santa obviously have an initiative going that you also want to speak about as well. So we want to bring you on so that you all can have the opportunity to jump into the conversation, so to speak. So tell us, what do you all have going on?
Well, we're giving a little bit of heads up to Darnell, but so if Darnell can cover his ears, that would be great.
Oh, my bad. I thought he knew.
I gotta cover my ears, Terry.
Yes, I'm Terry, and Sharon Hartshorn is also one of Santa's board members. And I think Arnold Bearden is here.
He is.
And I'm not too sure if Cassandra Norman, who's our president, is here. Is she here?
I didn't see Cassandra on.
Okay.
Not sure.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure if everybody knows who South Austin Neighborhood Association is, or SANA. Does anybody know about us, or doesn't know?
Absolutely.
Go ahead and tell them.
Okay. Well, SANA has been around since 2015. Our primary borders in the South Austin is Madison to the north, Laramie to the east, Roosevelt to the west, to the south, and Austin to the west. It's about a 1 mile square radius. But we also work with other people throughout the community. Currently, SANA is one of the people that are working in the quality of life with Darnell and Austin coming together. We're also one of the 13 organizations that is able to receive funding from the quality of life. And what we're trying to do for the year 2022 is we want to try and start an anti-litter campaign for the Austin community. And the purpose is to raise awareness of the impact litter has on individual health, economic development, community, and the quality of life by working with local businesses, landlords, block clubs, and organizations. We want to prevent litter, because preventing litter makes our community healthier and safer to live in. I have a real quick brief fact that kind of gives you an idea of how much litter there is. There is over 50 billion pieces of litter along our roads and waterways. That's 152 items of litter per person. And I'm talking the whole country.
Wow.
So litter also lowers our property values and hurts economic development, because good businesses won't locate into a community that's full of litter, because the community looks like it has no pride in effectively controlling litter. So we have talked to several organizations, and we do have some block clubs that are involved with us. The Alderman Taliaferro, he is definitely on board. Galewood Neighbors, which is up north, is with us. We're hoping Northwest Austin Council will join us, and we're also hoping that Congressman Danny Davis will join us, and hopefully Camille Lilly will join us, because I see she's here. And anybody else that people feel that would be a great help to starting this anti-litter campaign. And also, we don't plan really starting until next year. And our beautification committee, we have 3 committees within SANA, which is the economic development, which is what Sharon runs. And then we also have a civic education committee that Gerard Williams runs. And during the upcoming months, we'd like to form a group with the people who want to be involved in this campaign to plan and organize it. So does anybody have any questions, or did I give enough information or further comments?
Well, it all sounds great. I mean, it's coming at the right time. We're talking about actually doing a collaboration with the Peacemakers Coalition with an environmental piece. And then, of course, as we spoke last week, DeAndre wants to do some sustainability things in the community, using hemp as a way to develop containers so we can get away from these plastic bottles right here. Maybe we can get a facility or something that can develop products from hemp. I think it's all a big part towards sustainability, environmental protections. I'm sorry, I said this again. I think it's all a part of sustainability, environmental protections, and climate control, which the Peacemakers Coalition is looking into.
And entrepreneurship.
And absolutely, creating some businesses
That's right.
that can incorporate all of the above. Jobs. I mean, DeAndre brought up, you're looking at the old Zenith building. And maybe that could be a place where we can create this large production facility where we can create products made from hemp or other sustainable, products or healthy to the environment products and healthy to the environment of Austin. So, Congressman, you have anything?
Well, the only thing that I really would have and need to say is that all of it is a part of the comprehensiveness of community sustainability and development. I think of my friend who's been pushing anti-litter for 20 years. Every time you see him, every time you talk to him, every time you meet him, I've actually gone to Indiana with him and Michigan with him, where he and his mother were involved in anti-litter, and he's the trash get rid of man. We've had cleanups with him for years, and to see the level that it's now taken is an indication that somebody can push an idea, a concept, and it sounds like not many people are buying into it. Ultimately, people do buy into it, and it becomes much bigger than, and I'm actually spacing on his name right here, die, if he knew I was spacing on who he is. Everybody knows him. Who is somebody say his name?
Arnold Bill?
Oh, Arnold. Oh, I didn't even know Arnold been to Michigan.
No, not Arnold. No, not Arnold. Oh, I'm thinking of it.
From Austin?
Yeah. He lived in the Lawndale. He used to live in Lawndale. Now he lives further east.
Oh.
Hey, Lee.
Who?
Lee, are you there?
No, he's reaching out to Lee Redmond.
Lee Redmond, you there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, you want to talk about the other programs and projects we're currently looking into, and as far as the Veterans Garden, the farm to table as well. You want to expound on those?
Well, I'm sure everyone knows about the Veterans Garden, but just to give an update on it, yesterday, our alderman, Chris Telvero, met with a couple more at MacArthur's, and after their dinner, they visit the Veterans Peace Garden with the mayor, and she was very impressed on how it looked, and is going to help us or assist us in trying to get lighting for that Veterans Peace Garden and other things that we had in our initial drawings and planning. So our goal is every year for the Veterans Garden to get better and better. And now that we have her and the alderman on board, I'm sure things are going to start moving in a positive direction. We also have a small project, it's a startup project this year about backyards. It was brought to our attention through a police officer how the Austin area in backyard looks so bad. And he said that wish that something can be done. So what we are trying to do now is to identify certain yards that are in bad disrepair and try to assist in improving them. In a week or two, we have identified one already. In a week or two, we plan to get started on making that a goal to make it look better. And it's a small project. It's going to be like a pilot project for now. We'll see how we take that and develop that into a bigger project so we can help to make our community more attractive so that we can give a groundwork for economic development in our area.
Nice. And that's in Lee. That's in collaboration with my block, my city, my hood.
My block, my city, my hood.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
Yes,
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, great.
And certainly we want to give thanks to my good friend here, Darnell, and the organization which he heads up for the funding and continued collaboration and support that we receive each year. And so we're just thankful to him as well and other elected officials, especially Congressman Davis, Alderman Taliaferro, which they've been to the garden and had a number of times, and we certainly want to extend them invitation for them to host events as well in our beautiful Veterans Garden in the upcoming season when the weather gets better. So, Congressman, we want to extend that invitation for you as well.
Well, we will come. We're heavily invested in veterans. I'm part of something called America's Heroes Group. Plus, we bring millions and millions and millions of dollars to the West Side VA Hospital, which is Jesse Brown Hospital. There's some great veteran programs in the community. One of the very best is the program that the Lockharts have at their church. It's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But there are others as well.
It sounds like we all on the same track here.
Well, every Saturday afternoon on VON radio for 2 hours, we do a program, America's Heroes, with Cliff Kelly, every Saturday.
All right.
And actually, I want to give a shout out to and a thank you to Sam, Lee, Terry, Cassandra, Arnold. I think it's admirable that you all organized a lot of the efforts that you focused on, including that vacant lot on Madison across from MacArthur. I remember when that lot was full of pop bottles and overgrowth and so forth. And I can't tell you what a joy it is to bring some guests to the community that are seeking to invest in our community and to MacArthur's for lunch and literally take them outside and show them the power of community right across the street, which I recently did. I had a group from the United Way of Metropolitan Chicago came out, and they were here for lunch, and they wanted to hear about the great things and the great people here in Austin, and literally put it into play and perspective for them when I walked them across the street to the Veterans Peace Garden.
It's its own little oasis.
Own little oasis. And the interesting thing, they actually had a hand in helping to recruit some volunteers to partner with Santa years ago to clean that lot out. And they had never actually seen the fruit of the labor from that. And so it was just so reinforcing for them to see, look at what you gave a little and look at what community did with it, how they created a lot out of a little. And so it just validates, if you invest in what the community is doing, what they see as the things that need to change, the transformation can happen at a faster rate and it can be more impactful.
Right.
And so I thank you guys for showing that leadership and for doing that. And we're happy to be a supporter of the work that Santa does.
I have my neighbor here who I happen to meet. He's known as the block pick 'em up man. That's how I got to know him. Each morning, he used to get up right at daylight and walk down Lockwood and Gladys and just any street he felt a need to pick up paper, bottles, or cans. And that I'd just like for him to chime in and have a few words. His name is Maxie Jefferson, and he stays on Jackson.
All right, Max, go ahead. Give us a few words.
First of all, just want to thank God for the chance to just be here. I want to thank Commissioner, the Senator Danny Davis, Congressman,
How you doing?
I'm good. Just want to just thank God for a chance to just be able to work in the community. I know there's a lot of things that need to be done, but it was just put on my heart to just go out and just pick up the paper. Me being from Florida, I experienced a lot of things that drove me to the point where if we don't do it, it won't get done. So I just really thank God for the opportunity to have the strength to go out and see the difference from the Sunshine State to Illinois, and I began to put things in place as we have to start somewhere. And I had a lot of people ask me, well, why are you going out picking up paper? I said, because it needs to be picked up.
It ain't picking itself up.
Right. But just being inspired by people like Danny Davis and my pastor, he's going on now. Elder O.B. Hendricks, they just trained me to train me to just make a difference in the community. So it just gave me a sense of responsibility to not only just pick up around my house, but I seen the response from all the community. I knew no one except maybe a couple of people in the distance when I said before, but when I began to just pick up paper, I met people from all down the streets and across the street in my block, and they began to just watch me, and they began to stare. And I began to try to figure out what was going on, and that's how I met Arnold. But we need to continue on just showing examples of how we can better our neighborhoods. And I didn't ask for any money because they tried to pay me money. I said, no, I don't want your money. I said, I just want you to follow my example. I just want you to help me pick up the paper.
That's crazy.
We appreciate
not crazy in a bad way, but that's an excellent thing. We want to commend you, Max.
Follow my example
on all the things that you're doing in the community, because you're absolutely right. When people see other people doing good things, others tend to jump in. And we definitely want to collaborate with this anti-littering campaign on the north end of Austin and get people more involved. To me, it sounds like it's a good community builder. And it's also a good relationship builder, because people are looking at you and they're saying, what is he doing? And then it's not just for you, it's for us. And when you can get everybody to start to look at things from that perspective, it's all about us and not just me, we're going to go somewhere. But again, we appreciate all your efforts, Max. And you got to get Arnold out there a little bit more too.
It's faith inspired. I was at Progressive Wave Church of God in Christ 3 weeks ago. We had a wonderful time on Chicago Avenue. Reverend O.B. Hendricks, he's passed now, he died, but they always have good food. Yeah, absolutely. You got a lot of things at church. It ain't just the sermon.
So, Edwina, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I just wanted to say that just like that brother there talking about one piece of paper at a time, if you look at the whole picture, it can be kind of daunting when you have to deal with the violence and the disparities, the inequities. But it makes a difference if we make change, or we help to affect change in one young person at a time, one family at a time, one block at a time. It makes for the whole community to change. So we do have to start somewhere. And if it's even starting one at a time, it makes a difference in the long run.
Absolutely.
Terry, Lee, if you all have any comments before we wrap it up on what possibly we will need additional support out our congressman or senator or?
Proud and glory. Have Terry talk a little about the farm to table. Yes, at 5421 West Monroe, we have a farm to table garden that ACT has helped to develop with funding from them. And before COVID, we were working with children in the community at the garden to teach them about vegetables, how to grow vegetables. We also used a USDA program called Dig In, and it was very informative about different ways of like where does your food come from, and how do you grow vegetables, and the kids really enjoyed it. And at the end of the season, we at that time took them on a trip to Lincoln Park Zoo, where Lincoln Park Zoo has a farm. And again, the children loved it. But right now, because of COVID, that pretty much ended that. So Santa has now regrouped for the farm to table, where we are now, along with Cindy Schneider with her Austin Garden Collective, we're also part of her group, where we are now opening the garden up to the community. So if anybody is interested in growing their own vegetables, we currently have beds available for them for next year. And also this year, we've been able to get 4 new beds into the garden because we've received from the community some people that want to grow their own vegetables. And if you're interested in joining us, I can give you an email address that you can contact us through. And we would be more than happy to talk to anybody who is interested in having their own garden bed. And also, if you're not near Monroe, Cindy's garden has her garden collective has 18 gardens. So we may be able to find some gardens that are close to your home, because a lot of people are starting big vegetable gardens because, again, like Austin, our ACT wants to do, they want to bring in fresh food into the community, and growing your own sometimes at this particular point may be the best way, and actually you know where your vegetables are coming from.
And they taste better.
And this year we grew some greens, and I'll tell you, I can't buy greens from the store anymore. My husband Lee will not let me buy greens. I have to freeze the greens from our garden. That's how good they are.
The question is, Terry, how good are they when you cook them? We're going to be coming over.
Congress, I'm going to bring you this coming weekend. I'm going to
what did Lee say?
Harvest.
I said I can testify to that because I have them at least twice a week.
Okay. Yeah. Twice a week. Okay. Sounds good. Hey Terry, how about giving that address out if you can, and I'll repeat it.
I'm going to give you Santa's. Okay, are you all? It's O-U-R.
O-U-R.
Yes. S-A-N-A.
S-A-N-A. 2015.
Yes, at gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
Yes.
Sounds good.
I'll give you another email address, and it's my name, Terry Redmond. If everybody sees it up on the screen there, it's one word, and that is at OURSANA.org.
So that's Terry Redmond, O-U-R with an I. I'm sorry. That's Terry with an with T-E-R-R-I. Why?
Yes. Yes.
Terry.
At oursana.org. OURSANA.org.
Okay. Terry Redmond, oursana.org.
Yes, and if anybody's interested in also helping with any of our committees, like Sharon, she is the chairman of our Economic Development Committee. If you're interested in trying to help her to create the Economic Committee,
the Economic Development Committee. She can use some hands and hopefully, or refer her to people that would be more than willing to help her. We are trying to do that. And then we also have our civic education committee, and that is run by Gerard Williams.
Great. Well, we're getting close to our
Hey, Terry.
time. Go ahead, Arnold.
Let them know I'm on beautification. And besides cutting grass, I also plant flowers and plant vegetables.
I thought he was going to say he do makeup. He said beautification.
with Lee.
Uh-oh. But
well,
yeah,
let me just say
ahead,
that it all is coming together in a real significant way. It just happens. I met with the Bureau Chief of the U.S. Department of Agriculture a few weeks ago, and we're trying to get them to put an urban agricultural office in Chicago. And of course, we wanted to put it on the west side of the city. And they pretty much committed to doing so. I'm saying they've pretty much committed to getting more engaged in what is called urban agriculture and providing additional resources to assist individuals who are interested in planting gardens for a lot of reasons, not just the food, but also the oxidation, also the environmental impact of it. So look forward to an urban agricultural office being put in Chicago by the U.S. Department of Agriculture pretty soon.
Nice.
Sounds
Appreciate
good.
that, Congressman. So we at that hour where we start to wrap up, but as we always do when we wrap up, we like to go around the room with a final thought. So we're going to start with the people on Zoom. If you could hear me and you on Zoom, what's your final thought?
This is Camille, Lily, Representative Lily.
Hey, State Rep, how are you?
Conversation. I just want to leave you with a thought or information on this coming Friday. Zoom, it'll be via Zoom. I, along with the Illinois Department of Human Services, is hosting a listening series about how to get grants from the state of Illinois, focusing in on the data, which is the Government Accountability Transparency Act, and all the steps to make sure that you are data compliant. We want to make sure all of the individuals here who would like to do projects in the community can seek funding through the state to get those projects off the ground, or even just continue the great vision and the great work that's already been happening. However, the state have to get more people educated and aware of that data process. So I'll be hosting that via virtually the 22nd from 1 to 2:30. And I can provide that information to the group here and share with your partners in developing quality life in Austin. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And you can also put it in the chat. I don't know if you already have like the Zoom link and things like that. If you do, you can put it in the chat. That can help as well. We can take that off the chat, and we can share it that way as well. Barry, I think I heard you.
When Congressman Davis mentioned 500 youth camping in Columbus Park, and Officer Will Martinez of the 15th District took a group of kids overnight camping at Columbus Park this past summer and the summer before. It seems to me that we need, given all of the shootings and murders involving eighth graders, and it just seems like something that we need to well.
A little louder, Barry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, a little louder if you don't mind.
Yeah. After we passed the work that Arnold and Terry is doing, can we mobilize youth to be involved in that? It seems to be almost an emergency situation because of the level of violence and the pipeline.
A little louder, Barry.
Younger. I'm saying, how can we help the youth involved in all these projects that we're talking about? Wonderful stuff going on. Seems like we have an emergency with the young people because of all the violence.
Well, it's we have to put our collective heads together and get them involved. And I mean, obviously, we got Austin. Austin has the mic. The 15th district has not only the Explorers program, but as you said, Will Martinez does work with them extensively. And we just have to figure out how to continue to let them have a voice in all of the efforts. And as Darnell said earlier, it's all about the motivation, intrinsic motivation, and the interest of those that's involved. And so the young people come to the table with ideas to better the young people is what we need. And so, as we've already talked about, we gotta go get them. We gotta go get them.
Go get them.
We gotta get them. And when they there, we gotta make sure that we're doing things that they are involved in, that they are interested in, so they could keep coming and go get the other ones so they can come as well. Terry?
Last words? Go to the next.
I couldn't say the other person. Who's the other person?
Sharon and
Sharon.
Sharon. And
Sharon.
Sharon?
Jacobson.
Oh, hi. Good evening, everybody. My name is Sharon Hartshorn, and I'm a member of the South Austin Neighborhood Association, and I'm one of their board members. I'm also a member of the Friendship Baptist Church, which is located at 5200 West Jackson, right on the corner of Laramie and Jackson. You've probably seen it. It's designed after an African hut. My pastor is Reverend Dr. Reginald E. Backus, and we want to remain a force in the community. And we've been working with Austin Coming Together in terms of changing the current community narrative when you think of Austin.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's been one of our goals, is to work towards improving and embellishing on it, so that once you think of Austin, you don't think of the negativity, you think of the beauty, you think of the strength of the people who live there. And you think of the dedication of the organizations that are striving to make it a better community. So that's what we're working towards. One of the last things that I'd like to say is, and it's been talked about this evening on the line, and that is food in our community. There was always this saying that there's a church and a liquor store in every corner. But now there's always some kind of little storefront, poor food station of some sort, 2 or 3 within a block, where the first thing you see is high fructose pop at the front door, or what's those things called flaming hots and stuff like that, instead of fresh fruits and vegetables. And then just lately, another store in our community. I know Darnell mentioned a store earlier, but now Aldi's on Madison and I think Independence is now closing permanently. So, not that these were necessarily top-rate places to shop in, but they were better than some of these other little places, that sell these flaming hots and stuff in our community. And so, because they were working on having fresh fruits and vegetables and different choices for people, and now they're gone. So you're just going to end up with more of these storefronts that sell these unhealthy things to people in our community. And I think that's a very devastating thing to happen. And so I think we need more force in our community towards bringing healthy food, a healthier environment, to rid our communities of these food deserts, and that we need to be working more. The fact that one of the things that Santa is doing is that we do have a food garden, and we have been trying to educate people on what it means to grow your own food, and therefore what's going in it, and it's healthy, and things of that sort. So education is a good thing for our people. They need to know what healthy food is and what it tastes like. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times what you see is the first thing you grab. Mm-hmm. And so, if you're seeing all these soda pops and Flaming Hots and whatever other garbage is on the shelf, and those are the only choices that you have in your community, then that's what you're going to reach for.
Yeah. Right.
So I think we need to work on getting healthier food choices and just healthier choices in our community, so that we can be healthier.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The beautiful thing is we have the Austin Eats, right? That's a part of the Quality of Life program, right? And so we're going to continue to push that initiative along with the work that you all doing with Santa, with this farm to table. And I believe it's going to happen. It is going to happen as long as we be consistent and persistent. Ms. Jacobs?
Yes, I would like to. I like the information that Darnell gave. I want to be one to sit at the table.
We hear that? Yes, yes, ma'am.
DeAndre, you get all that information because I want to be one to sit at the table.
I got you.
We're talking about it. We need to be about it. We need to be boots on the ground out here with these young people.
Yes. All right, Ms. J.
So I want to be one at the table.
I got you, Ms. Jacobs.
That's my comment for tonight.
We got you.
All right. Terry?
Terry said something.
No, that was Sharon. Final thought?
No, I think Sharon eloquently stated everything. She is right in the fact that we need to educate the community on better foods to eat, because unfortunately, as she stated, we don't have the world's greatest supermarkets in our area. We do have an Aldi's over near Roosevelt and Central. That's not too bad. Mm-hmm. And then on Madison is a Leamington, but I'm not too crazy about that store. That's my personal remark. But anyway, I think Sharon eloquently said everything very well. And again, we need to educate the community to make them understand, or help them to understand, that eating hot, flaming hot, soda, anything like that is not really healthy. A lot of those items have too much salt, too much sugar, which creates obesity, heart problems, and diabetes.
Yep.
And we need to educate our young so that they can stop eating these kind of foods, and hopefully we can start programs within the schools as a community to help them to understand, and to maybe they can be the ones that will make the change. Because sometimes us older folks, we're a little set in our ways a little bit, but hopefully the youth will become more involved in this. So that's really about it. Anything you want to say, hon?
Lee, speak up, Lee.
We can hardly hear you, Lee.
Okay, so how about now?
Absolutely.
Okay, my comment would be, it all began with knowledge through education. Once, as Arnold once said, once you know better, you're supposed to do better. And I think the problem that we have in terms of our food and the food that we eat is because the lack of knowledge, not knowing better. But I think that if we're able to get that knowledge out there to make people more aware of how what you put in your mouth affects your body, once they make the connection, then they're going to start doing better. Because right now it's a lack of knowledge. But I also agree that we should focus on our young, because, really focus on that, because that is our future. And if we ever going to move ahead and achieve, it's going to be through the young people. And that's one of the vital things that we need to focus on as soon as possible.
And I'd also like to add, before anything else, I just want to give a little tidbit. For every 4 grams of sugar, it equals 1 teaspoon. So every 4 grams equals 1 teaspoon. So when you see on the side of a soda can 51 grams of sugar, divide that by 4 and see how many teaspoons you're drinking in that can of soda. So it's 4 equals 1. And in closing, I'd like to say when we work together with a shared purpose, true change occurs.
Absolutely. Arnold, you got anything?
No, again, I'm just glad to work with Congressman Davis, State Rep Camille Lilly, Alderman Chris Taliaferro, and all the elected officials to, just help.
Gotcha.
Working programs and supporting them by funding them in the community.
Gotcha.
That's about all. And again, we are accepting all volunteers, by the way.
All right. Anything, Darnell? Shoot.
Yes, this Wednesday, do not forget, on the 20th, get a printed copy. Get your printed copy of the latest Austin Coming Together publication and the Austin Weekly News. You can pick those up at MacArthur's and other various spaces throughout the community, and including in the western suburbs. If you find yourself in Oak Park, you can they're available there as well. There are going to be a lot of updates around the quality of life plan, just tons of information for you to stay updated and to share with your friends. Also on Thursday, don't forget, we're talking about food insecurity, food education. The member organizations of Austin Eats are hosting at the K. Ryan Center of the Art a showing of the movie Can You Dig This? That is speaking about that food education. And it is going to be this Thursday, 5:30 to 8:30. Make sure you take part in that so that you can be reinforced with all the things that you heard from Santa and everybody else around food education and healthy eating, because that's one of those opportunities where you can be educated in an entertaining way to be able to do that. And then the last thing I'll say is go to Austin Coming Together's website, www.austincomingtogether.org. Look up the plan, watch the documentary for yourself on your own when you have time, share it with your friends, help get the word out there, because we want to make sure that more people get involved. We want to make sure that this process continues to expand and grow, because my final word is, even though you can have investment, even though you can have transformation in your community, it doesn't mean as much if the community itself doesn't own it.
Facts.
Ownership.
It's a fact.
We want all these initiatives. We want all of these facilities, these developments. We want these things and need these things to be owned by us, so that when you think about the youth, what are you going to be able to leave to them? What opportunities are you going to be able to steer for them to have if none of it is owned by us? So it's not just important for our community to transform, it's even more important that we lead it and we own it.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Edwina.
Thank you. I just wanted to add first that Sharon Hartshorn is a part of the Peace and Justice Planning. So she's been there since almost day one. So it's good to hear her voice tonight. A reminder that the Peace and Justice Planning Group meets every third Tuesday of the month from 1 to 2:30. The Quality of Life Plan, Austin Forward Together, Public Safety. We meet every third Wednesday from 9 to 10:30. Both of those meetings are coming up this week. And then my final words are, be the change you want to see. There are so many rich projects and platforms that are going on. Get involved with some of this. Community is always saying, you're leaving us out. We want you to be a part of it. We want your voice at the table. So come be a part of the planning and the cultivation of positive change. Get in where you fit in.
I hear you. I hear you. Who else do we have? DeAndre. That's it?
No, Max. We got Max.
Come on, Max.
You want to say
lastly,
closing remarks? And then the congressman.
Lastly, I just it's been interesting just to work and just to put back into the community. Being a graduate from Florida A&M University, political science major, is a chance to really do some profitable work in the community to help somebody else. Um, it's been great, and I noticed when it was done, people began to look and get involved, and it not only touched the so-called gangbangers, but it also touched the people that were wearing suits and ties. They began to understand that we have to pull together in our community to make it better. So,
all right,
I think that's a great thing.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And Congressman, you got any last remarks?
Yeah, the last word is that anybody who say nothing is going on in the Austin community, they're either deaf, dumb, or can't hear, or can't see. The information that we've heard conveyed tonight has been enough to fill out a community. And that's exactly what it is doing. I was so pleased to hear Camille talk about having the opportunity for people to learn how to get grants from the state. There is a tremendous amount of public money around and available. It really is. And anybody who think it isn't, they are just wrong. The federal government this year has done more for low and moderate income people in this country than has been done since the mid 1960s. The child tax credit alone, we are getting very close to universal pre-K education so that all children, no children, can have access to education. We just gotta
push it.
Gotta get over the hump. Now I'm saying it's almost there. We're almost at the point where 2-year college education is going to be free.
Nice.
All right.
We're almost there. We're almost there. And so we've got to spend and the discussion about eating healthy. You know, every week I listen to Doctor in the House every Sunday morning before I go to church, Terry Mason. Every Monday night we do a thing called Chat with the Doctor. Every Monday.
That's right.
7 o'clock with 5 or 6, 7 or 8, mostly African American physicians. And the main thing they talk about, one of the main guys is Dr. James Miller, whose brother is the pastor of the church right down the street here on Chicago, across Chicago Avenue and Central. And so all kind of resources really are available. And so Austin coming together and other entities collaborating. If people want to do something, all they got to do is join up.
That's right.
Nobody keeps them out. Nobody keeps them from coming. It's open sesame. If you don't do anything else, do like my brother here. He used to go pick up paper.
Right. That's right. Every little bit counts.
You can do whatever it is other than sit around and moan and groan and weep and wail and throw stones and rocks. You ain't gonna accomplish a great deal doing that. But it's been a great discussion.
Absolutely.
I have enjoyed it tremendously and look forward to next week.
Absolutely. And I want to end this by saying, you know what? I want to keep this momentum going by having a clean, green, lean Austin machine. And I know we all can do it if we all work together. And DeAndre, in closing, go for it.
Listen, all I want to say, I think everything has been said. Enough has been said. Only thing I want to say is let's just keep moving Austin forward together. All right, y'all. Good night.
All righty. Northwest, welcome to Northwest Austin.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot to thank y'all for my bad, man. I got a headache. So listen. And we do this every Sunday from 6 to 8 p.m. on various channels. So you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and the Zoom. So whatever you're most comfortable interacting with us with, please interact with us. Brother Mosaic Monk came in very late. When we started talking about food, he started saying boycott MacArthur's and everything. Listen, man, hey, it's a conversation, though. So you got comments, we're going to bring you on, man. Speak your speech. We always available to you because this is Westside people talking Westside things, and all these things are very real to the people that's involved in them. And so, as I mentioned earlier, man, in closing, it's all about moving us forward together, right? And man, we're just gonna see y'all back here again Sunday, 6.
That's right.
And
thank y'all. Good evening. Have a great evening.
I want to thank everybody for
Yes,
coming
sir.
in, coming on.
Show, and thanks for doing this, you guys.
Absolutely. Don't forget, 50th year anniversary, Northwest Austin Council will be next year. We're looking at what, September? Is it September?
Yeah.
We're shooting for.
Yep.
And
all right,
keep
sir.
everybody in tune. Good
Thank
night,
you for
all.
allowing us to welcome you to Northwest Austin Council.
So.
All right.